My name's David, and I am a loss prevention professional. I have been involved in loss prevention for several decades now, so this is not a newbie in here, or not somebody that's been in the business just for a few months or a few years, and there's a lot of people out there that think they know a lot. I'm not going to sit there and say I am the expert. I am not going to say I am the know-it-all, but I do have a extended background in loss prevention, and therefore I feel qualified to talk on this topic. The topic is hands-off versus hands-off. And before we get into that at all, we're going to discuss just what that is. If you're not already a loss prevention professional, which also goes by the name asset protection, store protection specialist, security, there's various names and buzzwords in the loss prevention community. And what loss prevention is, for those of you who don't know, or those who may be somewhat unfamiliar, is loss prevention is the security force that protects the store from losses, or shrink, which is the buzzword in the loss prevention community, or the retail industry, whichever you want to refer to. I have been a loss prevention professional for quite some time. I have managed the loss prevention office. I have been a loss prevention professional. I have aided in both regional and national investigations. I have helped bring down high-level people within the loss prevention community that were doing wrong things, as well as arresting shoplifters, developing policies, leading the way in internals and whatnot. But we're not here to talk about that. So loss prevention is the security force. They're kind of like the store police. They're obviously not there to investigate murders or anything like that, but loss prevention is there to protect the store and the store's assets, which includes its employees. Now, every retailer has a different set of rules that they give their loss prevention people. Some people have hands-on, some people have hands-off, some people have pursuit policies, some people have no pursuit policies, some people do not permit pursuits. Some stores don't even prosecute or detain or otherwise stop shoplifters. They basically are there as a visual deterrent, and if you walk out with something, they basically can hold the door open for you and do little else. These are store policies. You don't have to agree or disagree with them, but that's what a loss prevention professional does. She protects the assets of the store. So it protects them. Primarily everybody looks at it being shoplifting, but it's much more than that. It's shoplifting, it's safety, it's security, it's internal theft. Actually, internal theft is much more severe than shoplifting. Shoplifting equates to about $15 billion, as will it be, $1 billion a year nationally in losses. You can look this up by looking up the National Association of Shoplifting Prevention. They have a website there. They are a nonprofit organization. You can find all the stats and statistics there. But that's what the primary loss for shoplifting is. And again, that is not even the bulk of the losses. Most losses, the biggest losses, come from internal theft. And internal theft is when an employee steals. The average shoplifting theft is around $100. The average internal theft is around $1,000. So you do the math. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about hands-on, hands-off. First, let's talk about what hands-on and hands-off is, and then we'll go into the pros and cons, and you can make your own decision about that. Plus, I'm going to give you a little bit of advice if you're looking for work and how you discuss the hands-on, hands-off policy. Because if you handle this wrong, it could be a deal breaker, and where you might otherwise be well qualified for a job, you may end up being eliminated as a candidate due to how you proceed with your conversation regarding hands-on, hands-off. And again, I will give you my opinion that I have been a hiring position in loss prevention, so this is not something I am unfamiliar with. Okay, hands-off is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. The loss prevention officer is allowed to place their hands on you within certain criteria. In other words, you can't grab somebody and start pummeling them. You can't grab somebody and throw them to the ground on initial contact. Hands off does mean you may touch them. It also may mean you may handcuff them. It may mean that, even though it's not related, usually if they permit hands on, they will permit some form of pursuit. Now, the pursuit may only be within a certain distance from the store, or there may be a boundary or something like that. But either way, hands-on is exactly what it sounds like. It means you are allowed to place your hands on the subject. And the store policies may vary, but I would not anticipate it being allowing you to immediately tackle a suspect. I don't think it's going to allow you to punch a suspect. I don't think it's going to allow any offensive measures. Hands-on basically permits you to defend yourself or use reasonable force. Keyword, reasonable. Okay, I realize that's a gray area. You're going to have to decide what's reasonable. Is it reasonable to tackle a 12-year-old boy who just stole a candy bar, who was stopping when you contacted him anyway? No, that's not reasonable. Is it reasonable to take an individual who has just bit you and throw him or her to the ground and hold them in place until backup arrives or until you can cuff them? Yes, I would consider that reasonable. So again, you need to think on the fly when you're in loss prevention, because things can go sideways in a heartbeat. But that's pretty much what hands-on is. It's allowing you to engage physically with the subject. And you need to use discretion, you need to be wise, you need to be cautious, because this can cost your company a lot of money if done wrong, and it will definitely cost you your job if you're handling it wrong. Again, you're not going to go running out to a 12-year-old boy who stopped when you asked him to tackle him and throw him to the ground when he posed no threat. Hands-on or reasonable force is what is exactly a reasonable force required to detain the subject and get them back to the loss prevention office for processing, and then possibly to be turned over to the police. All right, that's what all that. Now, hands off is obviously just the opposite. You may not touch the subject. You may not handcuff them. You may not tackle them. You may not engage in them. Now, if somebody throws a punch at you, I am certain you would be allowed to at least defend yourself. But at some point, you were going to be required to back away. All right, that's what hands off is. All right, now, what are the pros and cons? Well, we just talked about it a little bit. As far as hands off goes, if a subject is not being cooperative and you need to, obviously detain them, get them to the office so they can be processed and turned over to the police, then yes, it's going to be required, or it would be to your advantage if the individual is, running or fighting or in any other shape or form. Now, obviously, if there's a weapon involved, you back off immediately. Don't be an idiot and think you're going to take on somebody with a knife. And you certainly shouldn't be carrying a weapon. I don't know of any retailers that allow weapons. I don't even think they allow mace. Anyway, so that is an advantage. If there's a subject who is not being cooperative and you need to get him or her back to the loss prevention office, then reasonable force would be to your advantage. The downside is, a lot of times, and this happens a lot, and I know I'm going to piss off a lot of you, but you know what? I've been doing this a long time. I know what I'm talking about. Some of you get carried away. You think this is cowboys and Indians, and it's not. I've seen your post. I've seen you talking in forums. I've seen some of the ridiculous videos you guys post on YouTube of you running and tackling somebody and going, yeah, I mean, it was great. He did this, he did it. I punched him, I threw him to the ground, I threw him to the wall, I did this, I told you, motherfucker, you did this. Crap. That's nothing but crap. That's a childish loss prevention officer who is a danger to himself and a danger to those around them. Because if you piss off the wrong person, you're going to have a bullet between your eyes or a knife in your heart. It's not worth it. No cowboys, okay? That's it. No cowboys. Anytime I've done any kind of an interview and anybody has given me even an inkling of being a cowboy, they are immediately removed as a possibility of a candidate. I end the interview as quickly as I can. I politely tell them, okay, I have other people to interview, and we'll let you know if we need to hear from you again. And they won't, because we don't need cowboys. Cowboys are dangerous. Okay? They're extremely dangerous. They're dangerous to themselves and others. Okay? So there's a downside of that. All right? Now, hands off. What's the upside? The upside is you don't have to worry about being hurt. You don't have to worry about being sued. You don't have to worry about losing your job because you did something stupid. Okay? Yeah, maybe somebody got away, but you know what? There's going to be another one. There is a theft every day. If you're at work for a 5, 6, 7, 8-hour shift, I guarantee you something got stolen that day. Either by a customer, or an employee, or even a vendor. You just may have missed it, but it happened. Absolutely guarantee it happened. All right? But the average shoplifter only gets caught once out of every 48 or 49 attempts. I don't remember exactly what it is, but if you go to the NSAP website, they actually have that statistic. Okay? So, hands off has a problem there. Somebody says, what are you going to do? Fight me? And you tell them no, and then they walk off. And or they keep walking. If you can't pursue them or you can't touch them, then they get away. You know what? So what? Let them get away. There's always going to be another one. It's not worth it. Hands off has its uses. It has its fallbacks. The fallback is anybody who knows you're not doing hands off, or they figure it out at the moment that you're not going to do anything, then they're just going to walk. Earlier I mentioned there are stores that don't stop shoplifters at all, and there's a lot of them, more than you may think there are. And I have seen people walk into the stores, literally tell the loss prevention professional what they're going to do, and walk out and do it. Why? Because they know they're not going to do anything. Now, they may get a visual on them, they may ban them the next time they come in, but that doesn't stop anything from happening. A policy that was hands-on, or even an arrest policy, because in this case we're talking about some stores with no arrest policy at all. That's the downside, okay? Hands off. But again, hands off also prevents people being hurt, and there being serious accidents. If somebody's getting into a scuffle and they roll over on top of a rake and they get impaled by the rake, any of those things can happen. Sorry, my dog is acting up. Sorry about that. Anyway, so those are the hands-on, hands-off. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the interview process and what I told you about. If you go into an interview all gung-ho, hey, are you hands-on, hands-off? Chances are, if the person doing the hiring is someone like me, you're going to get removed as a candidate. Because if you're asking that question, there's a really good chance that you want to be in a hands-on situation, that you want to get into a scuffle. Now, some of you are going to say, no, that's not me, and that very well may be true. But if I had to decide between hiring somebody I'm concerned about may do something that's going to get my company sued or get somebody hurt, and the fact that, well, maybe they're just asking just because they were curious, I'm still going to go with the former. Why? Because I don't want to take that risk. I don't want to be with that officer making an arrest when she goes hands-on when they don't need to, or goes too far with it, and then the subject gets extremely violent. Maybe they're on drugs. Maybe they have a weapon we didn't see, and somebody gets hurt or killed. It's not worth it. Don't bring that up. If you have a preference, that's fine. Have a preference. If you like hands-on, fine. You like hands-on, if that's what you want. But don't bring that to the table during the interview. It's not a wise decision. for the exact reason I told you. So what are you supposed to do? You know what? Investigate the store and their policies before you do all that. All right? Once you've done that, then you can obviously get a better idea of of what you want to do. You know what? That's your best bet. If you're looking for a job in loss prevention, or any job for that matter, investigate the company first. Know about them. See if they're going to fit into what you want. All right? So, in short, hands-on, hands-off is the ability to touch the subject, possibly engaged in some form of a scuffle or whatever. And my personal opinion is I don't mind hands-on, but I am really concerned about who I hire as far as that goes, because I don't know what they're going to do or not do in regards to the hands-on, hands-off policy. I feel that it does more harm than good, but I also feel that in some cases it may actually be necessary to make a stop. So if you're in a retailer and you're looking for an answer, the answer's up to you. Do you want to take the risk? If you're going to do it, fine. You need to train your people. If you're going to be a hands-on company, you need to seriously train, not some stupid 10-minute video or a 15-minute discussion. You need to go make sure these people get thorough training on what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. You should include examples. These are visual examples, not, don't choke anybody or don't kick them in the groin. No, visual examples on what's okay, what's not okay. Give them scenarios on which John chases subject A, and subject A does this. What should he do? Should he do A, B, C, or D? All right. Make sure these people know what they're doing so nobody gets hurt. This is hands-on, hands-off. You can decide for yourself what you like and what you don't like. And if you have any questions, you can certainly contact me. My email is retailtheftexpert@gmail.com. That's retailtheftexpert@gmail.com. Have a good day.